The first thing Olivia Hayes noticed was not the blood. It was the silence. A private operating room on the top floor of a luxury Dubai hospital should have been filled with controlled urgency monitors beeping, nurses exchanging clipped instructions, machines humming beneath bright surgical lights. Instead, every person in that room moved like they were afraid the wrong breath might get them killed. 2 armed men stood beside the doors. Another stood near the observation glass. A fourth watched Olivia's hands. Not her face. Her hands. As if the entire room understood that whatever happened next depended on whether those hands could keep one man alive. The patient lay open on the table beneath the sterile white glare, his chest cut, his body surrounded by machines, his blood pressure unstable enough to make any surgeon sweat beneath her mask. But Olivia did not sweat. She had trained herself out of panic years ago. Her voice stayed calm as she said, "Clamp." The nurse hesitated. Olivia looked up. Now. The nurse obeyed. A bullet fragment had torn through tissue near the heart. Whoever shot him had not been careless. The angle was clean, intimate, almost professional. Not a random attack. Not a chaotic assassination attempt from a distance. Someone had gotten close enough to put death almost exactly where it belonged. Almost. Olivia leaned closer, focused on the impossible rhythm beneath her gloved fingers. The man on the table should have already been dead. Instead, his heart kept fighting. Stubborn. Violent. Unwilling to surrender. "Who is he?" Olivia asked quietly. No one answered. That had been the first warning. She had been flown in from New York 12 hours earlier, on a private jet with no hospital logo, no formal contract, and no clear patient file. The man who met her at the airport told her only that a billionaire businessman had suffered a traumatic chest injury and required the best cardiac surgeon available. Olivia had almost refused. Then she saw the transfer documents, the medical scans, the blood loss estimates. A surgeon did not ask whether a dying man deserved to be saved. A surgeon saved him first. Asked questions later. "Pressure is dropping," the anesthesiologist said. Olivia's eyes narrowed. "I can see that." She reached deeper, carefully separating damaged tissue. That was when she felt it something small, smooth, and wrong. Not bone, not metal from the bullet. Something placed there. Her fingers paused. The room seemed to stop breathing. Olivia looked down into the open chest of a dying stranger and saw the edge of a tiny black device lodged near the heart, wrapped in scar tissue as if it had been hidden there long before tonight. For the first time since entering the operating room, her calm cracked. "What the hell is this?" One of the armed men took a step forward. The heart monitor spiked. The man on the table moved. It should have been impossible. His body was sedated, opened, half drained of blood. But his hand lifted just enough to catch Olivia's wrist. The room froze. His grip was weak. His eyes opened, dark, unfocused, yet terrifyingly aware. He stared at her through the haze of anesthesia, as if he had dragged himself back from death for one reason. "Don't," his voice was barely air. "Give it to them." Olivia stared at him. "Who are you?" His fingers tightened around her wrist, leaving a smear of blood against her glove. Then he whispered, "Ciro Bellini." The anesthesiologist went pale. One of the nurses crossed herself, and Olivia finally understood why everyone in the room was afraid. Ciro Bellini was not a billionaire businessman. He was the most feared mafia boss in Italy, a man whose name was spoken in courtrooms, intelligence briefings, encrypted messages, and underworld funerals. A man rumored to control ports, banks, politicians, private armies, and entire families who had once thought themselves untouchable. And he was bleeding beneath her hands. Olivia should have stepped back. Instead, she looked at the armed men and said, "If any of you move toward this table again, he dies." Nobody moved. She turned back to the wound. "Scalpel." The nurse handed it to her with shaking fingers. Olivia removed the device from beside Ciro Bellini's heart. It was no larger than a fingernail. Black. Encrypted. Cold against her palm. The moment it left his body, every armed man in the room looked at it like it was worth more than the man himself. Olivia placed it into a sterile container and slid it beneath a tray before anyone could reach it. Then she did what she was brought there to do. She saved him. 3 hours later, Dubai glittered beyond the hospital windows like a city built from diamonds and secrets. Olivia stood alone in a dark locker room, scrubbing blood from beneath her nails even though she had worn gloves the entire time. Some blood stayed with you anyway. She had learned that years ago, the kind that did not stain skin. Only memory. Her hands were steady now, but her mind kept replaying the moment Ciro Bellini had grabbed her wrist. Don't give it to them. Not, save me. Not, help me. The secret mattered more than his life. That was never a good sign. Olivia dried her hands, opened her locker, and found her passport missing. She stared at the empty pocket of her travel bag. Her phone was gone too. So was her wallet. For a few seconds, she did not move. Then the lights flickered. Once. Twice. The hallway outside went dark. Olivia slowly closed the locker. A soft sound came from behind her. Not a footstep. A breath. She turned just as a man lunged from the shadows. He slammed her against the lockers hard enough to knock the air from her lungs. A gloved hand clamped over her mouth. Something cold pressed beneath her ribs. A knife. His voice came in a whisper. Where is it? Olivia's heart hammered against her chest, but fear had never made her stupid. She drove her knee upward with everything she had. The man grunted. She twisted, bit his hand, and shoved backward. The knife sliced through the side of her scrub top, burning across her skin. She stumbled toward the door. He grabbed her hair. Before he could pull her back, the locker room door exploded inward. Ciro Bellini stood in the doorway, barefoot, shirtless beneath an open black robe. A fresh surgical bandage covered his chest. He should have been unconscious. He should have been in intensive care. Instead, he looked like death had offended him by trying. His eyes found Olivia first, then the blood spreading across her side. Something changed in his face. Not panic, not surprise. Something colder. The kind of calm that comes before a man decides the world has narrowed to one target. The attacker released Olivia and raised the knife. Ciro moved faster than a man with a wound near his heart had any right to move. He caught the attacker's wrist, twisted until bone cracked, and drove him into the lockers with such controlled violence that the metal folded inward. The man gasped once. Ciro leaned close and said something in Italian so quiet Olivia could not hear it. Whatever it was, the attacker's eyes filled with terror. Then Ciro slammed him down. The body stopped moving. Olivia pressed a hand to her bleeding side, staring. Ciro turned toward her. For a heartbeat, neither of them spoke. He stepped closer. She stepped back. His gaze flicked to the wound. How deep? Olivia swallowed. You're supposed to be unconscious. How deep? It's shallow. You're bleeding. You're walking around after open heart surgery. His jaw tightened, but something almost like approval moved through his eyes. Almost. Then his gaze sharpened. Where's the chip? Olivia's fear turned hot. Are you serious? Where is it? A man just tried to kill me in a hospital locker room, and that's your first question? My first concern is whether he came alone. My second is whether he found what he came for. My third, his eyes dropped again to the cut on her side, is how much blood you lost. That order says a lot about you. It says I understand survival. Olivia held his stare, furious at how calm he was, furious that he had saved her, furious that her pulse was still racing, for reasons that were not entirely fear. I don't have your chip. His expression did not change, but the silence did. It grew dangerous. Dr. Hayes, he said softly, men will tear this city apart to find it. If you have it, you are already dead. Unless I know where it is, then maybe you should have told me what I was cutting out of your chest. If I had told you, you would not have operated. You don't know me. No. He took one step closer. But I know good people hesitate when evil looks too complicated. That landed harder than it should have. Olivia hated that. She hated him a little for saying it. The emergency lights switched on, painting the room red. Ciro looked toward the hallway. Men were shouting in the distance. Gunfire cracked somewhere below. Olivia flinched. Ciro did not. He reached for her wrist. She pulled away. Don't touch me. His hand stopped in the air. For a second, he looked at his own fingers, as if he had forgotten people were allowed to refuse him. Then he lowered his hand. A small thing. A dangerous thing. A man like Ciro Bellini could command an entire room with silence. But for her, wounded and furious, in a dark locker room, he stopped. Then walk, he said. Fast. They moved through the private hospital corridor as alarms screamed beneath the walls. The building had transformed in minutes from luxury medical facility to battlefield. Nurses hid behind glass doors. Security cameras blinked dead. Somewhere on the floor below, men shouted in Italian, Arabic, and Russian. Olivia kept one hand pressed to her side. Ciro walked beside her, one hand against the wall only when he thought she was not looking. He was in pain. Severe pain. But he moved like Payne was an employee that knew better than to speak out of turn. At the end of the corridor, two men in black suits appeared. Ciro's men. One of them, older, broad-shouldered, with silver at his temples, stopped dead when he saw Olivia. Boss. Ciro did not slow. Carlo, secure the east exit. No police, no hospital records, no digital trace. Carlo's eyes moved to Olivia. And the doctor? She comes with me. Olivia stopped. No, she doesn't. The men looked at her like she had just slapped a loaded gun. Ciro turned slowly. Olivia lifted her chin. I'm not going anywhere with you. Gunfire echoed closer. Ciro's voice remained calm. They have your passport, your phone, your hotel room, your medical file, and probably your home address in New York. You can come with me alive, or stay here and argue with the next man who puts a knife to your throat. I can go to the police. One of Ciro's men almost laughed. Ciro did not. He simply said, half the police are paid to look away, the other half are paid to deliver you. Olivia stared at him. There was no cruelty in his face, only fact. That frightened her more. A surgeon knows the difference between drama and diagnosis. Ciro Bellini was not trying to scare her. He was assessing the condition of her life, and the prognosis was bad. The elevator doors opened at the end of the hall. 3 men stepped out. Not hospital staff. Not Ciro's men. Their guns lifted. Ciro moved before Olivia could breathe. He shoved her behind him. The first shots cracked through the corridor, tearing glass from the walls. Olivia dropped to the floor as Ciro's men returned fire. The world became muzzle flashes, marble dust, screams behind closed doors. Ciro stood over her, shielding her, bleeding through his bandage. A bullet struck the wall beside his shoulder. He did not move away. Olivia looked up at him from the floor, stunned by the absurdity of it. A mafia boss, with a fresh surgical wound, using his own body to protect the surgeon who had just accused him of ruining her life. Stay down, he said. His voice was low. Not panicked. Not heroic. Possessive. As if death itself had reached for something that belonged behind him. When the shooting stopped, Ciro held out his hand. Olivia stared at it. This time, she took it. His fingers closed around hers. Warm. Bloody. Unsteady for half a second before his control returned. He pulled her to her feet. You're bleeding, she said. So are you. I'm a doctor. I'm aware. That means I know which one of us is more likely to collapse. His eyes held hers. Then don't let me. It should not have sounded intimate. It did. They escaped through a service corridor beneath the hospital, where the polished luxury above gave way to concrete tunnels, flickering fluorescent lights, and the smell of dust and machinery. Ciro's men moved ahead, clearing corners. Olivia walked close behind Ciro, close enough to see blood spreading beneath the edge of his bandage. You're going to tear your sutures, she said. I have had worse. That isn't an answer. It is the only one I have. She glanced at his profile. Hard jaw. Controlled breathing. Eyes scanning every shadow. You live like this all the time? He did not look at her. No. For reasons she did not understand, the answer surprised her. He continued. Usually people are more afraid to try. At the underground exit, a convoy of black SUVs waited beneath the hospital, engines running without headlights. The air was thick with heat and gasoline. Carlo opened the rear door. Ciro gestured for Olivia to get in. She didn't. What happens if I refuse? Ciro looked at the tunnel behind them, then back at her. Then I carry you. Her eyes widened. You wouldn't. No, he said quietly. I would. She believed him. Not because he wanted to dominate her. Because he believed the alternative was her death. That was the problem with dangerous men. Sometimes their control looked too much like care when the world was burning around you. Olivia got in. Ciro followed. The door shut. The convoy moved into the night. Dubai passed outside the tinted windows in streaks of gold and black towers glittering like impossible promises. Highways empty beneath the moon. Luxury hotels glowing over a city that seemed too beautiful to contain so much blood. Inside the SUV, the silence was suffocating. Ciro sat across from Olivia, one arm braced against his ribs, his face pale beneath the shadows. She tried not to watch him. Failed. You need a hospital, she said. I just left one. You need monitoring, antibiotics, transfusion support, imaging. I need to know where the chip is. Olivia's patience snapped. You nearly died on my table. Then someone tried to kill me. Then you dragged me through a shootout. So no, I'm not giving you anything until you tell me what that thing is. Ciro studied her. Most men looked at Olivia and saw elegance first. The polished calm of a surgeon. The professional voice. The steady hands. They missed the steel beneath it. But Ciro did not miss it. If anything, it seemed to hold his attention. The chip contains names, he said finally. What names? Men who betrayed me. That's not my world. It became your world the moment you removed it from my heart. Why was it in your heart? His expression closed. There it was. The wall. Olivia leaned back. You expect me to trust you while you hide the most important part. I expect you to stay alive. That isn't trust. No. His gaze stayed on her. It is the beginning. The SUV turned sharply into the private entrance of a hotel so tall it disappeared into its own reflection. They were taken through a basement service route, past silent staff who looked away too quickly. Then into a private elevator requiring 3 separate codes. Ciro swayed once. Olivia noticed. So did he. He hated that she noticed. When the elevator doors opened, they entered a penthouse suspended above the city. Glass walls, black marble, low golden light, a private pool glowing beyond open terrace doors. The city below looked unreal, as if the world had been made smaller for the people rich enough to live above consequences. Olivia should have been impressed. She was too tired and angry. Sit down, she said. Ciro looked at her. Excuse me? You're bleeding through your bandage. Sit down before you pass out and ruin my work. Carlo inhaled sharply. No one spoke to Ciro Bellini that way. Ciro's mouth almost curved. Almost. Then he sat. Olivia found medical supplies in a cabinet that had clearly been stocked for bullet wounds, stab wounds, and worse. Of course it had. She washed her hands, pulled on gloves, and stepped between Ciro's knees to examine the wound. The room changed. Not visibly. Not enough for anyone else to comment. But Olivia felt it. The dangerous stillness of a man who did not let people this close. His men watched from across the room. Ciro lifted one hand slightly. Leave. Carlo frowned. Boss. Leave. The room emptied. Now there was only the quiet hum of the city. The soft sound of Olivia removing the soaked bandage, and the heat of Ciro's gaze on her face. You're staring, she said. You're angry. You're observant. Most people tremble after being shot at. I'll schedule that for later. This time, his mouth did curve. Briefly, it vanished before it could become warmth. Olivia cleaned the wound. You tore 2 sutures. Can you fix it? Yes. Then fix it. She looked at him. You're used to ordering people around. I am used to being obeyed. That must be lonely. For the first time, she surprised him. His eyes sharpened, but he did not answer. Olivia returned to the wound, carefully stitching torn skin with the same precision she had used in surgery. Ciro never flinched. Why did you become a surgeon? He asked. The question was too human for the room they were in. Olivia tied a suture. Because hearts tell the truth. His gaze lowered to her hands. And what did mine tell you? She paused, then said that it doesn't know how to stop fighting. Silence settled between them. This time, it did not feel empty. It felt like something neither of them wanted to name. Her phone rang. Olivia froze. Her phone was gone. Ciro's eyes went to the black device on the table across the room, a phone belonging to one of his men. Carlo entered without being called, holding it. For her, he said. Ciro's expression darkened. Olivia took the phone carefully. Hello. A woman's voice came through. Elegant. Low. Amused. Dr. Hayes, I hope Dubai is treating you beautifully. Olivia looked at Ciro. His face had gone utterly still. Who is this? You cut something out of a man who does not belong to you. Olivia's stomach tightened. The woman continued. Give it back. And you can go home. Refuse. And we will send pieces of your life to Mr. Bellini until he understands what one American doctor costs. Olivia's throat went dry. My life? A soft laugh. Your sister still lives in Brooklyn, yes? Apartment 4. C. Blue curtains. Terrible lock. Olivia stopped breathing. Ciro stood. Too fast. Pain flashed across his face, gone instantly. Olivia whispered, Leave my sister alone. Then stop pretending you are innocent in a war you entered with both hands. The line went dead. Olivia stared at the phone. For 1 second, the penthouse disappeared. She was no longer in Dubai. above a glittering city. She was back in a Brooklyn apartment with her younger sister sleeping on the couch after chemo, laughing too hard at old movies, pretending she was not scared. Maya. Olivia looked at Ciro. His voice was quiet. Who was that? You tell me. A muscle moved in his jaw. Valentina Moretti. Who is she? No answer. Olivia's laugh broke, sharp and disbelieving. Of course. Ciro stepped closer. Your sister will be protected. By you? Yes. You don't even know her. I know she matters to you. That doesn't make her safe. It does now. There was no softness in his voice. No comfort. Only decision. Somehow, that made Olivia's eyes burn. She hated tears, especially in front of men like him. Ciro saw them anyway. His expression shifted, barely, but enough. He reached toward her face. Stopped before touching. His fingers hovered in the space between them. The almost touch was worse than contact. More intimate. More dangerous. She will not be harmed, he said. Olivia swallowed hard. You can't promise that. Ciro's eyes held hers. I can. That night, Olivia did not sleep. She sat beside the penthouse window while Dubai glowed beneath her, watching Ciro's men move silently through rooms, making calls in languages she barely understood. Across the world, men were being sent to her sister's apartment. Flights were being redirected. Cameras hacked. Identities erased. A criminal empire was bending around one terrified woman in a chair. And at the center of it all was Ciro Bellini. He stood on the terrace, speaking quietly into a phone, his black shirt open at the collar, his bandaged chest hidden beneath shadow. He looked less like a patient and more like a king, refusing to acknowledge the knife still in his ribs. Olivia watched him through the glass. She told herself it was because she needed to monitor him, not because of the way he had almost touched her face and stopped, not because his restraint had felt more dangerous than possession. At dawn, Carlo entered with news. The doctor's sister is secure. Olivia stood so quickly, the chair scraped the floor. Ciro turned from the terrace. Carlo continued. 2 men were outside the apartment. Our team removed them. Her sister was transported to a safe location. No injuries. Olivia closed her eyes. Relief hit so hard her knees almost weakened. Ciro crossed the room, stopping close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. She is alive, he said. Olivia nodded, unable to speak. You can call her when it is safe. When will that be? When Valentina stops breathing. The way he said it should have horrified her. It did, but not only. Because a part of Olivia, the part that had listened to a stranger threaten her sister, understood the dark relief of a dangerous man aiming his violence away from you and toward the thing hunting you. Ciro saw that understanding in her face. His voice lowered. Do not look at me like that. Like what? Like you are beginning to forgive what I am. I'm not. Good. Why? Because if you forgive me too soon, you will forget to be afraid. Olivia stared at him. And I should be afraid of you? Yes. Are you going to hurt me? His answer came without hesitation. No. Then what am I afraid of? For the first time, Ciro had no immediate answer. The city burned gold behind him. His eyes dropped to her mouth for half a second, then returned to her eyes with ruthless control. Wanting safety from the wrong man, he said. Before Olivia could answer, an explosion shattered the morning. The penthouse windows blew inward. Glass rained across the floor like ice. Ciro grabbed Olivia and threw her behind the marble kitchen island as fire erupted across the terrace. Smoke filled the room. Alarms screamed. Men shouted. Another blast rocked the building. Olivia's ears rang. Ciro was over her. One arm braced beside her head, shielding her from falling glass. His body pressed close enough for her to feel every restrained breath. Are you hit? He asked. No. His eyes searched her face anyway. Ciro. The name left her mouth before she could stop it. Something flashed through his expression. A crack in the armor. Then bullets tore through the penthouse. The next hour became a blur of violence and movement. Ciro pulled Olivia through a hidden wall panel into a private elevator shaft. Carlo covered their escape with 2 men. Smoke followed them down into the guts of the building, where luxury became concrete again. They emerged beneath the hotel into a service tunnel lit by blue emergency strips. Olivia's side throbbed. Ciro was breathing harder now. She grabbed his arm. Stop. No. You're bleeding again. Move. You're going to die if you keep pretending you're invincible. He turned on her so fast, she almost stepped back. Almost. His voice was low and furious. If I stop, you die. If I slow down, you die. If I lie on a bed and behave like your patient, Valentina gets you, and she will not kill you quickly because she knows by now that hurting you hurts me. The words hit the tunnel like a gunshot. Olivia stared at him. Ciro looked away first. Too late. She had heard it. Hurting you hurts me. Not strategy. Not responsibility. Not the chip. Here. The tunnel seemed to narrow around them. Olivia's voice softened despite herself. Why? Ciro's laugh was quiet and humorless. Do you think I know? Ciro, do not say my name like you are trying to save me. I am trying to save you. No. Before she could reply, Carlo appeared at the end of the tunnel. We have a route, old service line under the marina, but Moretti men are sweeping the roads. Ciro's face closed again. The moment vanished. They moved. The service line beneath Dubai smelled of salt, water, oil, and old stone. Olivia walked between Ciro and Carlo while men ahead scanned every corner. Above them, the city continued shining for tourists and billionaires who would never know a mafia war had begun beneath their feet. At the marina, they boarded a black speedboat under a moonless sky. The sea was dark. The skyline glittered behind them. Ciro sat beside Olivia as the boat cut through the water toward a private island safe house. Wind tore through her hair. Salt sprayed against her face. She glanced at him and saw blood darkening his shirt again. Let me look, she said. No. You are the worst patient I have ever had. I am not your patient anymore. You are until your heart stops trying to ruin my work. His gaze moved to her. There it was again. That almost smile. It did something to her she was not ready to admit. The safe house was not a house. It was a fortress disguised as a glass villa on a private stretch of coastline, surrounded by black rock, desert wind, and guards who appeared from the darkness like ghosts. Inside, everything was quiet, expensive, and lonely. Olivia cleaned Ciro's wound in a candlelit bedroom while storm clouds gathered beyond the windows. This time, he let her. Maybe because he was weaker. Maybe because they were alone. Maybe because something between them had shifted in the tunnel, and neither knew how to move it back. Valentina, Olivia said, carefully peeling back gauze. She was more than an enemy. Ciro's eyes remained on the storm outside. She was arranged to marry me. Olivia's hands paused. A strange pressure touched her chest. Jealousy. Ridiculous. Unwanted. She called you a man who doesn't belong to me. She believes I belong to power. Did you love her? No. The answer came too quickly. Olivia looked at him. Ciro's jaw tightened. I trusted her. That's worse? In my world, yes. Thunder rolled over the sea. Olivia cleaned blood from his skin. He watched her hands. She put the chip in you? Olivia asked. His silence answered before he did. I was wounded 2 years ago, he said. Not like this. Smaller. A blade during negotiations in Sicily. Valentina insisted on bringing her private doctor. I thought she was saving my life. But they hid the chip near your heart. Yes. Why? To carry proof without suspicion. If I died, they could retrieve it. If I lived, they could track me, control me, use me. Olivia felt cold. You were turned into a vault. Ciro's mouth hardened. A coffin with a pulse. She looked at the healing wound near his heart. Suddenly, the man on her operating table made more sense. The way he had fought death. The way he had told her not to give it to them. The way every armed man had watched the device. Not him. Why not remove it before? I did not know exactly where it was. You suspected? I suspected everyone. That quiet sentence held more loneliness than any confession. Olivia softened before she could stop herself. What about now? His gaze lifted to hers. For a moment, the storm outside seemed to hold its breath. Now I suspect everyone but you. The intimacy of it frightened her. She stepped back, pulling off her gloves. You shouldn't. No? I could have kept the chip. You did. Olivia froze. Ciro reached into the pocket of his jacket on the chair and removed the sterile container. The tiny black chip rested inside. Her stomach dropped. You searched me? No, you hid it under the lining of your medical bag. Clever. Not clever enough. Anger rushed through her, partly because he was right. You had no right. I had every reason. You don't trust me. I trust you more than anyone alive. He stood slowly. That does not mean I will gamble your life on your stubbornness. You mean your chip? His expression changed. She regretted the words instantly, but pride kept her still. Ciro stepped closer. Do you still think this is about the chip? Isn't it? If it were, I would have taken it in the hospital and left you there. The room went quiet. Olivia's pulse beat hard. He was close now. Too close. His voice lowered. Do you know what I did when Valentina threatened your sister? She did not answer. I moved men from Rome, New York, and Paris in 9 minutes. I exposed roots I kept hidden for 10 years. I burned favors that could have saved my empire one day. Why? His eyes held hers. Because your voice broke. The words undid something in her. Not completely, but enough. Olivia looked away first, because looking at him suddenly felt like stepping too close to the edge of a building. Ciro's hand lifted. Again, he stopped before touching her. Again, the restraint felt unbearable. You should sleep, he said. You should be in bed. His eyes darkened slightly. A different silence entered the room. Olivia realized what she had said. Heat rose to her face. Ciro noticed. Of course he noticed. But he did not smile. He only said, Careful, doctor. Don't flatter yourself. I am not the one blushing. She turned away, furious with herself. Behind her, his voice softened just enough to be dangerous. Olivia. She stopped. He had never used her first name before. Not like that. She looked back. He stood in candlelight, wounded and ruthless and impossibly controlled. A man who should have been easy to hate. I am not a safe man, he said. I know, but you are safe with me. She wanted to believe him. That was the beginning of the real danger. At midnight, Olivia woke to piano music. Soft, melancholic, impossible in a mafia safe house during a war. She followed the sound barefoot through a dark hallway to a glass room overlooking the stormy sea. Ciro sat at a black piano, one hand moving slowly over the keys, the other pressed lightly near his bandaged chest. He stopped when he saw her. I didn't know mafia bosses played piano, she said. I didn't know heart surgeons hid stolen evidence in medical bags. She leaned against the doorway. Fair. He looked different in the dim light. Still dangerous. Still unreadable. But less like a weapon. More like a man who had once been something else before the world sharpened him. My mother played, he said. Before my father turned our house into a courtroom for criminals. Olivia stepped into the room. That sounds lonely. You keep saying that. You keep looking lonely. He stared at her. The storm flashed beyond the glass. For a second, she thought he might tell her to leave. Instead, he said, My mother used to say a man with no softness becomes easy to use. Was she right? Yes. The honesty surprised her. Ciro looked down at the keys. Valentina knew it. She never tried to make me love her. She tried to make herself necessary. And was she? For a while. Olivia moved closer. That doesn't sound like love. No. What does love sound like to you? He was silent long enough that she wished she had not asked. Then he played 3 notes. Low. Sad. Unfinished. Like something asking to be killed before it makes you weak, he said. Olivia's chest tightened. That's a terrible answer. It is an honest one. She sat beside him on the piano bench, leaving a careful space between them. Not enough. Too much. I lost a patient 3 years ago, she said quietly. A little girl named Hannah, 7 years old, heart defect. I did everything right. Everything. And she still died. Her mother screamed at me like I had murdered her. Ciro listened without interruption. Olivia stared at the keys. After that, I stopped getting close. To patients. To families. To anyone who could look at me like I had promised them a miracle. Did you? She looked at him. Promise a miracle? He asked. No. But you wanted to be one. Her throat tightened. She hated how easily he saw the wound. Maybe because he was made of them. Before she could answer, his hand moved over the keys again, playing softly. The melody filled the glass room, fragile against the storm. Olivia watched his hands, the same hands that had broken a man's wrist hours earlier, the same hands that had shielded her from bullets, the same hands that kept stopping before touching her. Why do you keep doing that? She whispered. His fingers stilled. What? Almost touching me. The air changed. Ciro looked at her. No mask now. Only restraint. Because once I touch you, he said, I will want to keep touching you, and I do not know how to want gently. Olivia stopped breathing. The storm struck the windows with rain. She should have stood. She should have put distance between them. Instead, she stayed. Maybe I'm not asking for gentle. His expression sharpened. A warning. A hunga. A refusal. He stood abruptly, turning away from her. No. The rejection hit harder than she expected. Olivia stood too. No? You are afraid, exhausted, far from home. I will not let fear convince you that I am safety. Maybe you don't get to decide what I feel. He turned back, anger flashing. I am trying to protect you. From them or from you? Both. The answer was immediate. Raf. Then an alarm sounded. The safe house lights cut to red. Ciro's face became ice. The emotional moment died instantly. Carlo's voice came through the intercom. Boats approaching, 3 sides. Ciro looked at Olivia. Go to the lower level. No. His eyes narrowed. We are not doing this again, she said. You can't keep dragging me from room to room while bleeding through my stitches. This is not a debate. It is if you collapse. Men shouted outside. Gunfire cracked across the beach. Ciro grabbed a handgun from beneath the piano. Olivia stared. Of course there was a gun beneath the piano. He moved toward the door. She caught his arm. He looked down at her hand on him. So did she. This time, he did not pull away. Come back, she said. The words escaped before pride could stop them. Ciro's expression shifted. Not soft. Never soft. But shaken. As if no one had said those words to him in years without wanting something from his power. He leaned closer. For one breath, Olivia thought he might kiss her. Instead, his lips brushed her forehead. Barely. A controlled touch. A vow disguised as restraint. I will. Then he walked into the gunfire. The attack on the safe house lasted 27 minutes. Olivia counted because surgeons count when they are scared. Seconds without oxygen. Units of blood lost. Minutes under anesthesia. Time mattered. Time gave terror a shape. She waited in the lower level with 2 guards, listening as the mansion above became war. Glass breaking. Gunfire. Men shouting in Italian. An explosion near the east wall. Then silence. Too much silence. Olivia stood. 1 guard blocked her. Doctor, no. If he's injured. The boss ordered. The boss is my patient. She did not wait for permission. She ran upstairs into smoke. The villa was half destroyed. Rain blew through shattered windows. The floor was slick with water and blood. Men moved through the wreckage, some wounded, some carrying bodies. Then she saw Ciro. He stood near the terrace, one hand gripping the back of a chair, blood soaking through his shirt, a gun hanging from his other hand. Across from him stood a woman in white. Not a wedding dress, not armor, something worse. Elegance untouched by violence. Valentina Moretti. Her dark hair was pinned perfectly. Diamonds glittered at her throat. 2 armed men stood behind her, but she looked like she did not need them. Her eyes moved to Olivia. A smile touched her mouth. So this is the surgeon. Ciro's voice was deadly quiet. Leave. Valentina ignored him. I expected someone more impressive. Olivia stepped closer despite every survival instinct, screaming not to. Funny, she said. I expected someone less desperate. One of Ciro's men inhaled sharply. Valentina's smile widened. Ciro's head turned slightly toward Olivia. Not warning. Something closer to admiration, though he would rather bleed out than admit it. Valentina stepped forward. You think he is protecting you because you are special? Olivia said nothing. He protects objects, assets, bloodlines, secrets. He is not a man. He is a vault with a beautiful face. Ciro's expression did not move, but Olivia felt the words land. Valentina knew exactly where to cut. He will trade you when the price becomes high enough, Valentina continued. And if he does not, his men will. His empire will. His family will. You are not loved, Dr. Hayes. You are leverage with a heartbeat. Olivia looked at Ciro. For one terrible second, doubt moved between them. Ciro saw it. His face closed. Valentina reached into her coat and removed a small tablet. Your sister, she said. The screen showed Maya sitting in a dim room, guarded by men Olivia did not recognize. Olivia's blood went cold. Ciro stepped forward. Valentina lifted a finger. Careful, my men received instructions. If I do not call in 10 minutes, your doctor loses the only family she has. Olivia could barely hear over the pounding in her ears. Ciro looked at the screen, then at Valentina. What do you want? The question broke something inside Olivia, because she heard it. Not rage, not strategy. Fear. For her. For Maya. Valentina heard it too. Her smile became triumphant. The chip, she said. And her. Ciro's face turned to stone. No. Then her sister dies. Olivia stepped forward. I'll go. Ciro turned on her. No. My sister is innocent. So are you. This is not your choice. His eyes burned. When it is your life, it is. That's not protection. That's control. No, he said, voice low and shaking at the edges. Control is what I do when I can survive the outcome. This is not control. What is it? His silence answered too loudly. Valentina looked delighted. Oh, she whispered. There it is. Ciro's hand tightened around the gun. Valentina's voice turned cruel. You love her. The word hit the destroyed room like lightning. Olivia stared at Ciro. He did not deny it. He looked like he wanted to. Like denial was the last wall still standing. But he said nothing. Valentina laughed softly. How disappointing. Then she gave the order. Her men raised their guns. Ciro moved. The next seconds shattered into violence. Ciro shot the first man before he fired. Carlo tackled the second. Valentina lunged for Olivia, pulling a thin blade from her sleeve. Olivia stumbled back, slipped on wet marble, and hit the floor hard. Valentina came down over her with the knife. Olivia caught her wrist with both hands. The blade trembled inches from her throat. You have no idea what he is, Valentina hissed. Olivia strained against her. I know enough. He ruins everything he loves. The knife dipped closer. Then Ciro was there. He grabbed Valentina and tore her away from Olivia, slamming her against the shattered glass wall. For the first time, his control broke completely. Not loud. Not wild. Worse. He looked like a man who had found the edge of his humanity and stepped over it willingly. You threatened her sister, he said. Valentina, breathless, smiled through blood at her lip. And now you finally look alive. Ciro pressed the gun beneath her chin. Olivia stood, shaking. Ciro. He did not move. Ciro, don't. Valentina's eyes flicked toward Olivia. Listen to her. She still thinks there is something worth saving. His finger tightened. Olivia stepped closer. If you kill her now, we lose Maya. That reached him. Barely. His breathing changed. He lowered the gun by an inch. Valentina smiled. Then a sniper round broke through the remaining glass. Olivia heard the shot before she felt anything. Ciro jerked backward, eyes widening. Blood bloomed across his shoulder. A second shot came. Ciro grabbed Olivia and pulled her down, shielding her as bullets tore through the room. Valentina used the chaos to run. Ciro tried to stand. His body failed. Olivia caught him before he hit the floor. For the first time, the Mafia Boss looked mortal, heavy against her, blood hot beneath her hands. His eyes found hers. Olivia, don't you dare, she snapped, pressing down on the wound. Don't you dare say my name like that. His mouth twitched faintly. Like what? Like goodbye. His eyes softened. Just enough to break her. Carlo shouted from across the room. We have to move. Where? Olivia demanded. Helipad. Only route left. Ciro tried to stand again. Olivia grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. You listen to me. You do not get to die after dragging me through hell. You do not get to make me care and then bleed out because you think pain is a personality. Carlo froze. Even wounded, Ciro stared at her like she had become the most dangerous thing in the room. Then he whispered, You care? Olivia laughed once, broken and furious. Unfortunately, that was when Ciro Bellini smiled. Not cruel, not controlled, real, and it vanished almost immediately because another explosion rocked the villa. They ran. Through smoke, through rain, through a hidden stairwell carved into the side of the cliff. The storm outside had become violent, wind screaming across the coastline as they emerged onto a private rooftop helipad built above the Black Sea. A helicopter waited with its blades spinning, lights cutting through sand and rain that had blown in from the desert storm rolling over the coast. Olivia's white medical coat borrowed from the safe house clinic was streaked with blood. Ciro leaned heavily against her, despite trying not to. Even now, he wanted to appear unbreakable. Even now, she wanted to shake him for it. The helicopter pilot signaled urgently. Carlo ran ahead. Then floodlights snapped on from the opposite side of the helipad. Valentina stood near the edge, hair whipping in the storm, holding a phone. Behind her were 6 armed men. And beside her, on the screen again, was Maya. Alive. Terrified. Olivia stopped. Ciro straightened slowly, pulling away from her support as if pride could hold his blood inside. Valentina shouted over the wind. The chip, Ciro. Ciro reached into his coat. Olivia's heart dropped. He had it. Of course he had it. The tiny container glinted in his blood-covered hand. Valentina smiled. Finally. Ciro looked at Olivia. There was apology in his eyes. And something deeper. Something that terrified her more than the guns. He was about to sacrifice everything. For her. For Maya. For a woman he had known for less than 2 days and somehow looked at like losing her would split him open worse than any bullet. No, Olivia said. Ciro did not look away. Your sister lives. At what cost? Mine. You don't get to make yourself noble now. I am not noble. His voice was rough. I am yours. The words disappeared into the storm and still felt louder than thunder. Valentina shouted, "Throw it!" Ciro lifted the chip. Then Olivia saw it. The red light blinking beneath Valentina's collar. A receiver. A live transmitter. Everything happening here was being broadcast somewhere. Not to police. Not to media. To the Mafia Alliance. Valentina wanted Ciro to surrender publicly. To prove he could be controlled. To prove Olivia was his weakness. And then she would kill them anyway. Olivia stepped in front of Ciro. Every gun lifted. Ciro's voice cracked with command. Olivia, move. She ignored him. Her eyes stayed on Valentina. You don't want the chip, Olivia shouted. You want them to watch him choose me over the Empire. Valentina's smile faded. Olivia kept going. That's why you threatened my sister on screen. That's why you waited until now. You need every family to see his weakness. Ciro stared at Olivia. Valentina's face hardened. Clever doctor. No, Olivia said. Just tired of people mistaking love for weakness. The words hit Ciro like a wound. Valentina raised her gun. Ciro moved behind Olivia. Not to pull her back. To stand with her. His arm came around her waist, holding her against him as the storm raged around them. Last chance, Valentina said. Ciro lifted the chip, then crushed it in his fist. Valentina screamed. The helicopter lights flared behind them. For one frozen second, everyone stared. Ciro opened his bleeding hand. Broken black fragments fell onto the helipad and disappeared in the rain. You destroyed it? Valentina shouted. Ciro's voice was calm. Deadly. No. I copied it. Carlo stepped forward from near the helicopter, holding a satellite device. Across the world, phones began ringing. Files sont. Names exposed. Bank accounts unlocked. Recordings released. The Mafia alliance that had betrayed Ciro Bellini began collapsing in real time. Valentina understood before anyone else. Her face changed. Not fear yet. Rage first. Then fear. She raised her weapon toward Olivia. Ciro turned, shielding Olivia with his body as gunfire erupted. The helipad became chaos. Wind. Bullets. Helicopter blades. Men falling. Ciro fired with one hand, while keeping Olivia behind him with the other. Carlo's men advanced through the storm. Valentina backed toward the edge, screaming orders. No one obeyed anymore. Olivia saw one of Valentina's men aiming at Ciro's back. She moved without thinking. She grabbed the emergency flare gun from the helipad wall and fired. The flare struck near the man's feet in a burst of red fire. He stumbled, shot wide, and Carlo took him down. Ciro turned to Olivia. Stunned. She yelled over the storm, I'm not decorative. Despite everything, blood, betrayal, death circling them, something fierce and proud flashed in his eyes. No, he said, you are not. Then Valentina fired. The bullet hit Olivia. Not deep. Not fatal. But enough. Pain ripped through her shoulder. She staggered backward toward the edge of the helipad. Ciro's face changed in a way she would never forget. Everything human left it. Everything devoted became violent. He caught Olivia before she fell, pulling her into him with one arm. His hand pressed against her wound. His eyes searched her face, frantic beneath the control breaking apart. Stay with me, Olivia gasped. It's not my heart. No, his voice shook. It is mine. Then he looked at Valentina. She froze, because she finally saw what she had created. Not weakness, not leverage. Devotion sharpened into a weapon. Ciro handed Olivia to Carlo. Get her on the helicopter. Olivia grabbed his sleeve. Ciro. He looked down at her. For the first time, he touched her face without stopping. His palm was warm, wet with rain and blood. I am coming back, he said. You promised that before. I kept it. Then he walked toward Valentina. No shouting. No theatrics. Just a wounded man crossing a rooftop in a storm, while every surviving gunman lowered their weapons because no one wanted to be the next thing between Ciro Bellini and the woman who had shot Olivia Hayes. Valentina backed away until the helipad railing hit her spine. You would destroy your empire for her, she spat. Ciro stopped in front of her. No. Valentina's smile twitched. Ciro leaned closer. I destroyed yours. Carlo pulled Olivia into the helicopter before she could see what happened next. But she heard Valentina scream. Then the helicopter lifted into the storm. Olivia fought to stay conscious as Dubai blurred beneath them, gold and black and distant. Ciro climbed in seconds later. Bloodied, breathing hard, alive, he dropped to his knees beside her. Olivia tried to smile. You look terrible. His hand closed around hers. You are never allowed near a rooftop again. That sounds controlling. It is. She laughed, then winced. His face tightened. Do not laugh. Don't be ridiculous. You were shot. So were you. Several times, apparently. I am used to it. That is not comforting. His thumb moved over her knuckles. A small motion, almost unconscious. The helicopter cut through the storm toward the lights of another city, another safe house, another uncertain dawn. Olivia looked at him. Is my sister safe? Yes. You're sure? I sent Valentina's location and files to every enemy she had. Her men abandoned her within minutes. The ones holding Maya ran. My people. Have her. Olivia closed her eyes. Relief came softer this time. Deeper. Ciro leaned closer. Olivia. She opened her eyes. His face was near hers, all control stripped down to fear. You stood in front of me, he said. You stood in front of me first. I am built for bullets. No one is built for bullets, Ciro. I thought I was. The confession was quiet. The kind a man like him could only make in the dark, above a city, with blood on both of them and death finally falling behind. Olivia looked at their joined hands. What happens now? His jaw tightened. The files will start a war. Men who smiled at my table will run. Families will fracture. Some will come for me. Some will come for you. That's a terrible answer. It is an honest one. She smiled faintly. You do like those. His eyes softened. And you? He asked. What about me? When this ends, will you go back to New York? There it was. Not a command. Not a demand. A question. From a man who probably owned half the sky beneath them and still looked afraid of her answer. Olivia studied him. The Mafia boss who had taken her passport. The wounded man who had shielded her from bullets. The criminal who had threatened to carry her if she refused to run. The lonely man who played piano in a storm. The dangerous man who stopped himself from touching her because he did not know how to want gently. I don't know, she said. Pain moved through his eyes before he could hide it. So she added, but if I leave, it won't be because I'm afraid of you. His hand tightened around hers. Then why? Because I need to know who I am when I'm not running from your enemies. Ciro nodded once. It cost him. She saw that too. And if you stay? He asked. Olivia looked out at the storm breaking over Dubai. If I stay, it won't be because you protected me. His khaza held hers. It'll be because you let me choose. The helicopter flew into dawn. 3 weeks later, the world knew Ciro Bellini had been betrayed. Not all of it. Not the parts involving chips hidden near hearts, rooftop shootouts, or a surgeon with blood on her coat. But enough. Enough for banks to freeze accounts. Enough for politicians to resign suddenly. Enough for old mafia families to turn on one another like wolves trapped in a burning room. Valentina Moretti disappeared from public life. Some said she escaped to Monaco. Some said she was hiding in Argentina. Some said Ciro Bellini had buried her in a place no one would ever find. Olivia never asked. Not because she was afraid of the answer. Because some doors, once opened, changed the room forever. Maya recovered safely in New York under protection, so discreet she complained that Ciro's men dressed like funeral directors and scared her neighbors. Olivia cried when she heard her sister laugh again over the phone. Ciro did not interrupt the call. He stood outside the hospital room where Olivia was recovering, visible through the glass, speaking quietly with Carlo. He never entered unless she asked. That mattered. More than flowers. More than apologies. More than promises from men who could buy cities but not trust. He gave her space. And for Ciro Bellini, space was not indifference. It was devotion with its hands open. On the 21st day, Olivia found him on the hospital rooftop. Not a helipad this time. A garden. Quiet. Private. The Dubai evening was soft with gold light. The sky deepening into violet. No storm. No gunfire. No helicopter blades cutting the air. Ciro stood near the railing in a black suit, one hand in his pocket, the other resting lightly against his chest where she had opened him and saved his life. "You're avoiding your follow-up scan," Olivia said. He turned. For half a second, all the power around him fell away. He just looked relieved to see her. "I dislike machines. You run a criminal empire. That is different." "No, it's louder." He almost smiled. She walked beside him, careful with her healing shoulder. For a while, they looked out over the city together. Then Ciro said, "I signed the northern ports away." Olivia looked at him. "Why?" "They were tied to families who would always see you as a weakness. Now they are someone else's problem." "That sounds expensive." It was. "How expensive?" He glanced at her. "You will call me reckless." "I already do." "Then very expensive." Olivia shook her head, but warmth moved through her chest. "You can't keep burning pieces of your world every time someone threatens me." "Yes," he said, "I can." "Ciro." His eyes met hers. "I am not saying I should," he said. "I am saying I can. There is a difference." She studied him. He was trying. Not becoming harmless. Not pretending to be good. Trying. For a man like him, maybe that was the beginning of redemption. "I'm going back to New York," she said. The words landed between them. Ciro went still. Only his eyes changed. "I know," he said. "You do? You have surgery scheduled in 12 days. Your sister needs you. Your hospital has called 6 times. Also, you hate Dubai coffee." Olivia stared. "Have you been monitoring my calls?" "No." "A beat. My people have." "Ciro. I told them to stop yesterday." She should have been furious. She was, a little. But his honesty disarmed her more than a lie would have. "Progress," she said. "I am told it is unpleasant." "It is." Silence. Then he reached into his coat and removed something. Her passport. Olivia stared at it. He held it out. No speech. No condition. No possessive declaration. Just the thing he had taken from her at the beginning, returned at the end. Her choice. Her freedom. Her hand trembled slightly when she took it. "Thank you," she said. Ciro's face remained controlled, but his eyes were anything but. "If you leave," he said, "no one follows you unless you ask." "And you?" His gaze stayed on hers. "I will want to. Honest. Dangerous. Restrained. But—" she whispered. "But I will not." Something inside Olivia ached. This was the cruelest version of him. Not the man who took. The man who could take and chose not to. She looked at the passport in her hand, then at the city, then at him. "I'm still leaving." "I know. But I'm coming back." Ciro did not move. For once, he looked like he did not trust his own hearing. Olivia stepped closer. "I don't know what this is yet," she said. "I don't know how to love a man like you." His voice was low, carefully. She smiled. "Probably. And I do not know how to love without becoming dangerous. You already are dangerous. To everyone else. To yourself, too." He looked away. That told her she was right. Olivia reached for his hand. This time, she touched him first. His fingers closed around hers with careful restraint, as if he were holding something breakable and sacred and terrifying. "You once said love sounded like something asking to be killed before it made you weak," she said. His eyes returned to hers. "You were wrong." "Was I?" "Yes." She stepped closer. "It sounds like a man giving a woman back her passport even though it hurts." The final wall in his face cracked. Not dramatically, not completely, but enough for her to see the man beneath the empire. Ciro lifted his free hand to her cheek. This time, he did not stop halfway. His palm touched her skin gently, almost reverently. "I do not deserve you," he said. "No," Olivia whispered. "But you can become someone who tries." His forehead lowered to hers. The city glittered around them. No bullets. No blood. No storm. Just silence. Breath. The impossible tenderness of a feared man learning not to hold too tightly. When Ciro kissed her, it was not possessive at first. It was restrained. A question. A vow asking permission. Olivia answered by rising into him, her hand pressing carefully against his chest, feeling the scar beneath his shirt. The heart she had saved. The man she had not meant to trust. He pulled back only enough to look at her. "If you come back," he said, voice rough, "I will still be what I am. I know. I have enemies. I noticed. I will be difficult. You are already impossible." This time, he smiled fully. It changed his face so completely. Olivia almost forgot the blood, the fear, the rooftop, the storm. Almost. Then he said, "Come back anyway." She looked at him for a long moment. Then she placed her passport against his chest, not giving it back, just resting it there, over the scar. I will. 1 month later, New York was cold with early rain. Olivia stood outside her hospital after a 14-hour surgery, exhausted, hair pinned messily, coffee in one hand, phone in the other. Her life had returned. Almost. Patients still needed saving. Maya still sent dramatic texts about hating her security detail. The world still spun. But Olivia was different now. Not because a mafia boss had protected her. Because she had stood in the storm and chosen not to become smaller. A black car waited across the street. Not hiding. Not threatening. Waiting. Olivia stopped beneath the hospital awning. The rear window lowered. Ciro Bellini looked out at her from the back seat, dressed in black, calm as midnight, dangerous as ever. Her heart betrayed her immediately. He did not step out, did not command, did not assume. He simply held up a paper cup from the cafe she liked. The right order. Of course. Olivia crossed the street slowly, rain misting in her hair. When she reached the car, Ciro opened the door. Inside, the seats smelled faintly of leather and him. She leaned down, not getting in yet. No surveillance? She asked. Minimal. Ciro. Almost minimal. She narrowed her eyes. He sighed. Only Carlo. From the front seat, Carlo said, "Good evening, doctor." Olivia laughed despite herself. Ciro watched her like the sound did something irreparable to him. "Where are we going?" she asked. His eyes held hers. "Anywhere you choose." Olivia looked at the rain-slick street, the hospital lights, the life she had fought to keep. Then she looked back at the man who had once taken her into danger and now waited for permission to enter her world. She got into the car. Ciro did not touch her until she reached for him. When their hands met in the quiet dark, his thumb brushed over her knuckles with the same careful devotion he had learned in the aftermath of blood and storms. The car pulled away from the curb. Behind them, the hospital lights faded. Ahead, the city opened like a secret. And for the first time in his life, Ciro Bellini, the man feared across continents, the man who had chosen one woman over an empire, did not feel like power was the only thing keeping him alive. Beside him, Olivia Hayes looked out at the rain and smiled. Not because the danger was over. It never would be. But because some love stories are not born in safety. Some are born on operating tables, in burning penthouses, beneath helicopter blades. In the moment, a man built for violence realizes there is one heartbeat in the world he would rather protect than his throne. And somewhere in the dark glass reflection, Ciro saw himself beside her. Still dangerous. Still haunted. Still powerful. But no longer alone. The mafia boss had survived the bullet. The surgeon had saved his heart. And in the storm between them, they had both found the one thing neither of them knew they were still capable of choosing. A future.